Hello and welcome. This is Education Talk, and today we'll be looking at opportunities for students and graduates in the present economic climate. Well, the Bank of England has cut its interest rate to 0.25%, the first in its 322 years history, and second only to March 2009 when it cuts its rate by 0.5%. And the Monetary Policy Committee has actually says it will cut interest rates further to just above 0%, except there's an improvement in the economy. Well, it's not all doom and gloom, and that's why we're here today to tell you the opportunities that are out there. I have here with me today in the studio a regular guest on this program, Dr. Chris Imafidon. Dr. Chris, you're very welcome to our program.
Thanks for inviting me, Wilma.
Well, let's take a look at the clip in which Governor Mark Carney gives the reasons for the cut in the interest rate. Governor Mark Carney there, he says the UK needs to adjust to new realities and move forward to seize new opportunities outside the EU. Well, Dr. Chris Imafidon, you're an advisor to governments and presidents when it comes to educational matters and economic policies. Now, how will this interest rate affect students? We are looking at the opportunities out there because it's not all doom and gloom there. There are still opportunities in this present economic climate.
Every single cloud has a silver lining. A lot of students have refused to go into top universities or very, very quote-unquote expensive courses because you're not going to take a larger loan that you're going to service over a period of time. If the cost of money or the cost of borrowing is now sunk to the lowest since 1694, it means there's no better time than to borrow money now. So if you can borrow money, you borrow money to invest, by the way, because you are investing in your education. You're not just taking money to go on holiday. So if you now go to a very expensive course, do a top range course, it means that when you finish from that course, a big job awaits you. Unlike before, when you were shopping around and see which one is going to be the cheapest, because the funding of it was an issue. But now the funding is no longer an issue because the government has gone into overdrive in what most economists would call quantitative easing. They're printing more money. So more money is going to be in circulation than ever in the history of this country.
We are looking at £170 billion here of quantitative easing. That's what we're looking at. And the government is bent on the cuts in the interest rates being passed on to businesses and households. So looking at students who are taking grants, besides the maintenance grants has been scrapped.
That's right.
From this autumn, we no longer have maintenance grants.
That's right.
So for those going for loans, really the interest rates they'll be paying on the loan is slightly above zero or something very little, no interest rate at all.
Yeah, the fundamental truth when you're looking at investment is that when you have money, you got to invest it. The alternative is for you to have money now. It's a very serious disadvantage for you to have money now. This is the mathematics of financial reality. If you have any money now and you put it in a savings account, you're wasting it. Because if you put £10, for instance, if you come back next year, not only will you not have literally gotten any interest in it, the rate of inflation would have eaten into it. So your £10 would be worth about £8. So instead of putting in an account and saving there and hoping that it's going to give you interest, it's going to depreciate. So the best thing for you is to take that money and invest it in your education, invest it in your business, invest it in whatever you're hoping to do, particularly if that investment is going to lead to export. I mean, this program is quite a short program for us to really stretch that out and download the full 100% of that. Because if you are an economist, you want to be in an economy that the value of the currency is dropping. Because if it's dropping, it means you can go into exporting. Because labor then becomes cheaper here, products becomes cheaper here, and then you can export to another, if you like, monetary nation. That means if you're going to trade in pounds and you are able to sell the commodities you have right now in dollars, then you're having real great fun. If you're going to sell it in the Japanese yen, great, because that will then give you much more value for the money you had before. So it's an exciting period for anyone that is prepared to look at the hidden opportunities that is in this period of uncertainty.
Are we going to be seeing any negative interest rates in the near future? Is that a possibility?
If the Bank of England thinks they need it, they will do it, because the Bank of England, remember, is totally independent of the government. So number 11 can have, the Chancellor can have his own thinking of how to sustain the economy. The Prime Minister influences the Chancellor, but the Prime Minister cannot, repeat, cannot influence the Bank of England, because it's a central bank that is totally independent. What may be able to influence the Bank of England is Parliament. So is that interaction of this independent institution and how it plays out that would determine whether or not we are able to go into negative interest. But I don't see that as happening.
So we actually see an opportunity here where banks will be encouraging students to take more loans, and they are willing to fund new entrepreneurship for students who want to go into businesses while they graduate or even while they're still students.
Absolutely. This is a heaven for startups. If you have a great idea, you know you've always dreamt of having an idea that you want to pursue, this is an opportunity for you to experiment with it, provided you come in with the heart of an entrepreneur. If you come in with the heart of an entrepreneur, great. If you come in with the heart of an employee, then there's going to be trouble all the time. Mm-hmm. Because remember, Winston Churchill shared a biblical fact. A pessimist is somebody that sees difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist is somebody that sees opportunity in every difficulty. Because you're saying that as a man thinketh, it's not the situation that tells you who you are. It's as a man thinketh. So if you're a pessimist, you think, oh, that is a very, very difficult situation. And then you give up and you pull back and you give what they call a majority report. And saying, oh, there are giants in the land, we can't go through it. But two will come back and give a minority report to say, oh, although maybe giants on the way, we are able to take the land. So you have to have that biblical drive taking you through. If you have that, then you sail through. You know that this is a great opportunity. You won't see it as a time of rough or real challenges.
As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That's
right.
What you wanted to say. Let's look at parents, the opportunities out there for parents. So many opportunities for students and young graduates. We'll come back to that. But let's look at parents now.
If you're a parent and you're working right now in a pound-denominated job, that means you're paid in pounds, you can do one simple thing and you will literally have £5,000 extra at the end of the year. And pick up a new language. We shared it here before, and we are very pleased that Chimemela, who happens to be a Christ Embassy, Dagdam, has a world record of the youngest person on the planet to ever pass German GCSE. If you learn a new language, it means that you've made yourself accessible to the European market. That's essentially what you're saying. If you now can come in and speak a bit of German and understand German and therefore be able to translate your website or your LinkedIn page or whatever social media page as projecting your skills and your experience in another language, it means that you're opening up a bigger door to yourself. So by the end of the year, you'll be walking away with £5,000. So compare that with just picking up a program. The Excellence in Education has that program that Chimemela went on, that in 5 working days, you pick up a new language. So how much more will there be in terms of encouragement for you to do that now? You can do that with French, you can do that with German, because the EU is essentially a Franco-German alliance. So you still be able to benefit from what is happening in Europe, while dominating what is happening here in the UK. So although you are denominated in pounds, you still be able to earn euros. So the fluctuation in pound will not directly hit you as it will hit your neighbor that is only one language and dealing with only one economy.
That is why we should encourage our children to learn more than one language.
You have to. You have to. If you have a girl that speaks more than one language, a child always speaks the father's language or speaks the mother's language. You have to be multilingual, not just bilingual. You've got to be multilingual, because the brain, when it was created, one human cell has the capacity to store the encyclopedic dictionary in 15 mutually exclusive languages. That means languages that do not even overlap. You can learn it as a human being. You have the capacity to. But the person that may have taught you in school did not know about your capacity and had a window to teach you and taught you using false precepts and false principles. So you cannot say that you can only speak one language. That is your kind in terms of ability. I'm trying to say to you, you can speak 15 different languages. And I can prove it to you if you are able to come on a program on Saturday.
Which means our students or parents should encourage their children to pick selectives that are linguistic in nature, not technical in nature.
That's right. You got to be able, because the market is opening up. We've said it several times that we are living in a global village. If we're living in a global village, you have to make sure you're living in a global economic village. So you can live in London and be able to transact businesses in Canadian dollars.
So parents should still try as much as possible to be bilingual or multilingual, because the whole world is really becoming global.
Yes.
And we're talking about parents that are employed here,
yes,
not those that are not employed. Those that are not employed have to really find something doing.
Even better, if you are self-employed or you are an entrepreneur, this is the biggest window of opportunity ever. And I want that to go down on record. Because each time there is a crisis, a lot of people retract. Those that are fearless are the ones that will move forward. And if you move forward, you now become a leader in your field. So you now need to look at your sector, look at your industry, and do an industrial analysis and see which part of your sector responds positively to a market that is going down, and which part of your sector responds negatively to the market that is going down, and the one that responds to the market that is going up. Because as there's fluctuation in the market, you should be a friend of fluctuation, not an enemy. Don't play to the folly of it.
So people out there, the fear and the gloom and the doom should definitely stop. There are so many opportunities out there, and you have questions, you can send emails to educationtalk@lobotv.co.uk. Let's look at young graduates, those coming out and thinking, I'm all about becoming an employee and looking for a job. What advice do you have for them?
Same as we mentioned earlier. Be multilingual, number one. 2, be technological, because you can sit down in Manila, Philippines, and be able to source programming jobs from California. Remember, you're in Philippines. You can see that in Bangalore, India, and be able to source contract from California and from New York and from Florida. So you cannot think the way your grandfather thought. The world your grandfather lived in as an engineer is totally different from today. You have to be an engineer that is able to engineer something for somebody in Quebec, Canada, because you can speak French, and because you can deploy all your facilities over the network that we have today. So if we have a global network, it means that we can exploit that network to our full advantage. But most people are afraid. The only reason why anyone may be afraid is because they have no knowledge of that area. Because as soon as you are ignorant, you want to retract. If you are now given the fundamentals of the truth, you want to advance forward because you have confidence. That's the reason why the people perish, because they do not have the right information. Because you prosper if you have the right information. The difference between someone that is successful and someone that has failed is the amount of information you have and how willing you are to apply that information to solve a problem. As soon as you solve a problem, you add value, and you're back again in business.
So for the young graduates, this is the right time to go into businesses and to become an entrepreneur. Definitely you should know what you're doing and know the field. You should have enough knowledge of the field you are about to go into.
Absolutely.
Let's look at the Bank of England. You were saying something about Mark Carney, the governor of the Bank of England, and you talked about biblical economics here.
Yes, it's funny, you know. Everybody's saying new reality, new era. There's nothing new under the sun. Because if you pick up Genesis 41, you see that a prisoner, a young man in a strange country that was a prisoner, was pulled out of his jail. His name is Joseph, to go and head a new country. What was the sequence of events? He had a talent. He had a passion. He looked at dreams. He was able to interpret dreams. He told the baker what was going to happen to him. He told the butler what was going to happen to him. So when the butler got to the king's palace, he remembered there was a young man in jail that could interpret dreams. That was when the whole issue of vacillation between the bear market and the bull market, between the downturns and the upturns, came up. The king dreamt and saw 7 fat cows and then 7 lean cows. And the lean cows came in and swallowed the fat cows. Why? Because the period of adversity was going to follow the period of prosperity. It's always been there. So when people are surprised and say, I don't understand this, Joseph taught us that and showed that it is possible for you in the period of adversity to be prosperous. And because he explained that to the king said, no, you're not going back to jail. You're going to come and implement this policy you just explained to me. It's there. It's there for anybody to pick. So there is nothing new in the cyclic behavior of the pound, in the cyclic behavior of our GDP. We might call it a big name, a big different name now, but the fundamental truths are there for anyone that is interested in finding out what you need to do in the period of adversity.
What you need to do in the period of adversity. And you'll be talking about this in tomorrow's Business and Career Summit in Croydon. Well, we have a clip to show you about the Business and Career Summit in Croydon coming up soon. So let's take a look at this clip.
Christ Embassy UK Zone 3 presents Business and Career Summit Next Level. It's an opportunity to showcase your business and learn how to start your own. There will be topics on money management, marketing, social, property, branding, business startups, career progression, interview tips, educational tips, and much more. It's Saturday, the 6th of August, 2016. Start time, 11 a.m. And this will be held at 15 Imperial Way, Croydon, CR0 4RR. Spaces are limited, so call us on 074 0586 2859 or visit our website www.bcukzone3.org to register. God bless you.
That's the Business and Career Summit coming up in Croydon. Now, Dr. Chris, you have been invited to speak at this Career Summit, and definitely you have a lot to tell people about the opportunities out there in this economic climate. It's a time of prosperity for those who see the opportunities there. Tell us some of the tips you'll be sharing.
Number one thing, you don't even work with information. If you come on this summit, I'm not just going to tell you, get informed. No. I'm going to show you how to get insight and foresight. Because if you have information, that's fine. You can work with it. And a lot of people say, oh, this is a knowledge-based economy. No, we've gone beyond that. It was a knowledge-based economy. But now it's now a foresight-based economy. As we were sharing before when on that break, Joseph was able to see in 7 years what will happen to the economy of their time. Here we are going to have an analysis what happened every 15 years to the world economy, every 25 years to world economy. Remember, this is 2016. 25 years ago, something happened to the world economy. There was a complete dissolution of the USSR. And it was, oh, the USSR is going, oh, Russia is going to go into, no. It was a wonderful opportunity. Ukraine was able to come out of it. Poland was able to come out. A few other countries in the Eastern Bloc were able to open up. 25 years before then, that was the end of the British Empire, 1966. 25 years before then, that was the end of World War II. So we're going to break this down and say, look, you cannot just rely on information. especially if you're looking at popular press. You have to rely on insight. You got to know what is going to happen next so that you can anticipate and prepare. And if for any reason you miss out on the first wave, you hit the second wave. If you miss out on the second wave, you miss the third wave. So we take it. Every single sector of the economy, what does very, very well when there is a depression? What do we need every day as humans? We need air. What do we need every day as a human? We need water. So what facilities and what products are you going to be buying and selling at different periods of the economic cycle? You'll be given that. You'll be given the tools to be able to find that out. You'll be able to work on your own. So remember, the secret to success in these times that we are in times of uncertainty, is foresight.
Not money.
No money.
Yeah.
Money will flow away. That's why it's called currency. It will flow away from area of ignorance and someone of ignorance, and it will flow towards people that have the power of knowledge. And people that remember, Joseph was in jail. He was the only person that had knowledge that the king wanted.
And he had the foresight.
And he was able to look at what's going to happen next. So you need to know what's going to happen next. Now that there's been a separation between the United Kingdom and the EU, what will happen between now and 2020 is already written. You don't need, when I pick up the newspapers every day, I don't read it to know what is going to happen. I just read it to see a confirmation of what I knew was going to happen. So what's going to happen between now and 2020 is already clearly stated. You can't change it. That's why a lot of people say that the EU is bureaucratic. So you can exploit it. You can benefit from it. You can assist people that may be victims of it, which is a legitimate business to do. If you're helping people that may suffer between now and 2020, you need to be... Before Article 50 is triggered, there are things that you must do. If you do that and you're able to interact with a Polish national and employ Europeans to work for you, you have already hit what some people would call the jackpot. So it's such insights I will be sharing tomorrow, and I hope our viewers, you can physically make it to Croydon. If you can't, some of it might be online. I'm not terribly sure how much of it is going to be online, but some clips of it might be online. But if you're a business person, you're going to get up and then go get the knowledge, get the information, and dominate your niche.
Is a teenager too young to attend? It depends. What caliber of people are you looking to speaking to?
Anyone that has a mind to solve another person's problem for some reward. That's what business is. You look at somebody in pain, you assist the person in pain. You're a doctor. You look at somebody that needs to travel, and you assist the person to convey the person. You're in logistics. So you need to come in. I have a 17-year-old that said I should mentor him. That is $30 million rich today, and I'm going to show the case study. So age is nothing to do with it. All you have is that mindset, because of the way you're thinking, and then the information to back it up. And you're designed for prosperity. Don't let anybody tell you are born into poverty, therefore you die in poverty. No, you may have been born into poverty, but you cannot live in poverty because you have the knowledge, the know-how, and the exciting times that we live in that will pull you through.
One last word for students in this time, such a time as this. The maintenance grants have been scrapped, definitely, and so much information going out there, but it's actually saving the right information and working with the information. So what last word do you have for students, especially those going into higher education?
Know that you are going to pursue only one thing, your passion. Because if you are passionate about what you are studying, you see every obstacle as an opportunity for a miracle. So you're not going to, oh, I thought I was not going to read this. So if you're passionate about it, you pursue it. 2, have a role model, dead or alive, that you are patterning your life after. So you have read the autobiography of the person. You have read the biography of the person. So you've read every single thing that is written about that person. And then you'll be able to say, yes, this is what this person was able to do. I want to move my life up to the next level to achieve more than what that person did, because that person did not have the benefit of my experience, but I have the benefit of that person's experience. So if you can do a role modeling, fine. Or you can contact us. We are on Facebook, we are on social media, we are on every single social media you can imagine. Contact us. These are not the days of saying you only see people on television. You can interact with them.
Definitely, you can interact with them. Thank you so much, Dr. Chris. Thank you for coming on the program.
Pleasure.
For viewers, this is Education Talk, and today we've been looking at the opportunities out there for students, parents, and young graduates in this present economic climate. If you can see There are so many opportunities out there, especially those going into businesses and who want to become entrepreneurs in the future. If you have questions, you can send emails to educationtalk@loveltv.co.uk. Enjoy the rest of our programs.